Hi everyone, it's Rax, bringing you the final version of the feedback document that we're going to send to Blizzard. Let me do a quick recap if you guys didn't watch the first video on what's going on here. About a month ago, I asked the Diablo 3 team of Blizzard, hey, can I give you a ton of suggestions on how to make the game better? They said, make a document, we'll read it, we'll consider it. I said, I'm going to do you one better. I'm going to reach out to my friends at Maxroll, and I'm going to reach out to every content creator that I know and see if they'll respond back to me. And I'm going to make this huge list of everything that I can think of on how you can make the game better. We did that, and then I said, there's one more thing I could do. I made a video on YouTube, and I went over all of the millions of changes that we had, and we had them in different categories: important, nice to have, wish list, and contested. Important is obviously critical things. Nice to have is we'd like to have it, but it's not going to ruin the game if we don't get it. Wish list is a totally new idea, and contested is something that not everyone will agree on. Once I got all the info from the content creators, posted the video, and I put it on YouTube and on Reddit and on the official forums, and Riker also made a video as well covering this document. And I said I would read every single comment that you guys made on all the different threads, and I would see if you guys could come up with things that we didn't have already listed on the document. That is what we're going to go over today. You guys came up with 46 things that were not on this current document that I think should be added, so you guys did a great job. The comments range from everything to new ideas that were very helpful to comments saying that I'm a cheater, I'm a piece of shit, that Maxroll blows, and everything in between. But that's just the way that it goes. It took a long time to go through all the comments, but we got it all done, so let's go over it. Not going to go over the stuff that we already went over the first time. We're only going to go over the new things that you've added. One comment that I would like to make is I'm sure that not every single idea that you guys wrote down has made it into this document. For one reason or the other, maybe there was already a different item on the list that was almost the same thing, so I didn't add it. Or the idea was super cool, but it was so in-depth, I didn't really even understand how I could put it in this document. So what I'm going to do is, Blizzard is already aware of this document. Blizzard is already aware of the different threads. They can go read your idea in full and see if they like it. I'm sure some of them have already read a lot of the comments. So essentially what I'm trying to say is if your specific idea didn't make it into the list, doesn't mean that it's a bad idea or anything like that, but I just had to try to pick the ideas that I thought would make it possibly into the game that weren't on the document. All right, so here we go. Let's jump on into the important category. The first thing that a lot of you asked for is said like this document would be worthless if Blizzard doesn't provide some kind of feedback on what they think about it. So I thought that was, as so many people said it, I thought that was a good idea to explicitly call out. We'll certainly ask them, could we get a blog post about D3? What's your guys' plans for D3? So many people commented, lol, the fix for D3 is D4. I can't believe Rax is spending time on this. They're putting all their resources into D4. Guys, the D3 team and the D4 team are completely separate. They're completely separate. And I don't think Blizzard is going to shut down D3 until D3 officially dies. Will D3 die with D4? Maybe, but it might not. D3 has been on the rise a lot lately. So there's no reason for them to shut down D3 until it's confirmed that it's a sinking ship. So since it's on the rise, they will consider this. So hopefully we can get an official response from the dev team. The most important thing that people asked for a trillion times was the gem upgrading on consoles, saying that you can only do it one at a time. This has been asked for like 1,000 different times. And by the way, here you're going to notice that I'm going to list whoever had the idea. If a lot of people did it, then I just put many users. So the gem upgrading on console needs to be better. Add a text-to-speech or screen reader support for the visually impaired. This is from TJ, the blind gamer. I've seen him do a lot of impressive stuff being a blind player. He's cleared some very high GRs. I can't imagine what it would be like to be blind. And I think it's extremely important that we take care of anybody with any kind of impairment, any kind of disability, so they can enjoy the game as well. So to me, this is an extremely important thing that we need to add. The rework primals is very obvious, and there were a bunch of there were a bunch of ideas in the previous iteration of this document that kind of talked about ways you should rework primals, but it wasn't explicitly called out. So you guys had a good point. You need to explicitly call it out. Yes, you need to rework primals in some way. This current season has angelic crucibles, which kind of help, but there needs to be some way to not make the red beam a meme because it's always bad. So however they can fix that would be nice. Cosmic Pulse is a big Barb player. He said, even with our feedback, that they need to add Summoner Charger to Aura Extreme. He's right. Summoner Charger is one of the very best mob types, so that will be added. All buffs and debuffs should have an icon on the UI. I think that's absolutely true. Ranks has been a long time player. I think he's a big developer as well. He's a smart guy. Every buff and debuff in the game should be on the UI. I think the reason why Blizzard doesn't do that is they feel that it's too cluttered. And they have different ways of displaying certain buffs, like the Ina mantras are like in that, it says like a 4 and it has like that collapsible or expandable window, whatever they can think of. But for example, like when you step in an Oculus Ring, you don't see the buff that you have the Oculus Ring buff. I would love to see that. I pretty much think all buffs and debuffs should have an icon. One thing that a lot of console players said, which I would have never thought of, but they said that the accept and decline like bosses or whatever when you're doing bounties is on like the main buttons of the controller that you're normally hitting as you play. And a lot of people said that's so annoying because it makes you like join boss fights or enter something that you didn't want to because you were just playing the game. So a lot of them asked them to map them to weird buttons where when the thing pops up, you have the conscious decision whether you want to accept it or decline it. Another thing for consoles, stop the reroll cheating. Something to do with you get your bounty materials and you roll them and you don't get what you want. So then you like reset your profile or something, reset your game, and you get all the bounty mats back and you essentially print primal ancients. I know Blizzard is aware of this exploit. They need to fix it. Another problem with the game that many people brought up is rebalancing the torment difficulties. Now, what we don't need is we don't need more torment difficulties. I don't want to see torment 17, 18, 19 through 20. That's not the problem. We already have 16 freaking difficulties. That's already obnoxious. But we need like a little bit, I think, of a rebalance. You know, T16 is just way too easy. Builds are just speed farming like 120s, which is like 50 tiers lower than 50 tiers higher than T16. Some kind of rebalance needs to be done, and any rebalance that gives us like more GR keys for like a higher difficulty would be incredible. And the final really, really good idea was mail bounty caches when your inventory is full. Because when people turn them in and your inventory is full and you don't realize it and the cache drops on the ground and you lose it, that's very, very upsetting. And public bounties would be great if they could mail them to you. Now, here comes most of the stuff, and most of the things that you guys suggested, I think would be in the nice to have category. And the first thing is allow skills to be auto-casted. PC kind of already has this with the numlock trick. People have been using it forever. Some people use AHK. Some people use the proprietary software on their mouse or on their keyboard. Yes, macros are against the terms of service, but that's kind of an archaic rule. It's kind of like the DMCA rule for music and Twitch. It's just a rule that was invented when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, and especially when they have games like World of Warcraft that actively have a macro interface. It doesn't make any sense that in an ARPG you wouldn't allow it. It would be nice if there was just an autocast feature where you just say, I want to mash these 3 skills. Whenever they're up, just press them. Would be a cool thing. Let us upgrade the same gem for all attempts in one click. I thought this was brilliant. Almost never do I start upgrading a gem and then switch to another gem. I'd rather just say, Bane of the Trapped, upgrade 5 times. Got 3 upgrades? Fine. Would save us some time. So it was a good suggestion from Ricardo. Set dungeons as a mandatory part of this. Remove set dungeons as a mandatory part of the seasonal journey. People hate set dungeons. The fact that you have to do them every season is super annoying. If you want to go out and do all the set dungeons for the Wings of Mastery, that's like a cool little journey to embark on one time. But doing the set dungeons every single season is annoying as hell, and no one likes doing it. And I actually believe, I've had like some conversations with Blizzard before, I believe that they agree with this. I think they think that doing set dungeons sucks. So we might actually get this someday. Let us choose the act we start in adventure mode. This was asked by so many people. People want to start in Act 1. 95% of people want to start in Act 1. It was cool that you had the 1 hour rotation to see like different parts of the game. 10 years into it, we don't want to see, we've seen every act 10 million times. Stop rotating it. Either let us choose which act it is, or if we can't choose Act 1 by default, no more rotation. Either one of those. Let us unselect skills on followers. This is a pretty minor thing, but this would really help. If you pick, for example, a skill on the first row of an enchantress, both of them crowd control. A lot of times you should not put a crowd control on your follower, because if they crowd control, it builds the hard CC resistance on the monsters. And then when you want to crowd control, it either doesn't work or it's diminished. If you play like a build like any necro build with a Crisbin sentence, that's going to make it worse. If you accidentally pick that skill, you can't unpick one of the skills in the rows. You can only pick one or the other. We need an ability to unselect them, because otherwise you have to make a whole new character. Add checkpoints to the beginning of every Greater Rift map. Have you ever died and hit like revive at checkpoint and you got teleported back like 2 maps? That's because some Greater Rifts, for some reason, don't have a checkpoint like battlefields, like Desolate Sands. Every Greater Rift map needs to have a checkpoint, and there's actually some really crazy mechanics, crazy strategies that you can use in endgame pushing in softcore, where you either die and go back to a checkpoint, or you die and go forward to a checkpoint that you have previously unlocked to do some crazy things. Can't do that if some of the maps don't have a checkpoint. Let us scale the UI, pretty self-explanatory. It'd be nice if we could shift it up or down and scale it. Let us switch characters in-game. This is a cool idea. The reason why I think this would be a nice thing to have is people wouldn't log out, switch characters, select, make a new game. I feel like it's be less stress on the servers. However, this could be open to exploits. Like if you have a Greater Rift open, you swap characters, or you clear the whole rift with a Trag'Oul Necro, and then you spawn the boss and you switch to an Arashir or Witch Doctor and one-shot the boss. Something like that. Have to make sure that those kind of exploits don't come with it. Add shift-click gambling. I think this is a godly idea. Hold shift-click, fills up your whole inventory with one item. Amazing. Add controller support for PC. Controller good, players equals want. I mean, that's about all I can say there. Let us power level on T16 by default. Why can't we start on T16? I don't understand. We can already get around it. You can rebirth the character. You can do some, there's another way to do it with some tricky party leader changing shenanigans, start game things. I can power level my friends on T16 even though you won't let me to. I have 2 different ways of getting around that. But why can't I do it by default? Let characters just open on T16 by default so I can power level my friends in 30 seconds. Remove snapshotting. Snapshotting's got to be the dumbest mechanic in the game. You drink a potion or you level up at a certain time and it freezes a certain buff for like it like snapshots a certain buff, and it helps you be stronger with your clear. It's the best way I can explain it. This is really only used by the elite players. It's probably tribal knowledge, and it puts the casuals at an unfair disadvantage, and it's super lame gameplay to try to keep it up. I just think snapshotting should be removed from the game, as Kavendar suggested. Let us lock items so they cannot be salvaged. Sometimes you find a godly item and you want to just click the lock button. No matter what happens, never let me salvage this would be nice. Reconsider sockets and jewelry. Now, you can't just have items drop with godly stats. Otherwise, there's nothing to hunt for, right? I understand that. However, sockets and jewelry are a little bit different because you have to have a socket in your jewelry. You have to. If you don't have a socket in your jewelry, you can't put a legendary gem in it. That's by far the best role for every single jewelry piece. So the fact that sometimes like the jewelry doesn't even come with a socket on it and you're forced to roll for it, it's just such a weird thing. It's just such a mandatory thing that you have to have on the jewelry that you're always rolling for, that many people actually commented, like, why can jewelry ever start without a socket? So it's just something for Blizzard to think about. It's something to put on the design board when you're having a meeting and talking about it. Is there a better way to design jewelry other than just forcing us to roll for a socket all the time? Provide replays of the top clears. This would be really cool. I would watch these all the time. I would watch, how is the top Witch Doctor doing this? How's the top Crusader doing that? It would be really interesting to see the maps they chose, how they manipulated the mob types, how they played the pylons, how they gathered up the density, what they did on the boss fights. If this was available, I would certainly watch these. Probably make videos about it too. I'd watch people's top replays and kind of analyze them. It would be fun. Improve the bounty pity arrows. There's two problems. The first problem is sometimes the pity arrows don't show up right away, especially when you have to click like 5 things and they're all over the map. Can never find them. The second problem is when someone starts a bounty and doesn't finish it, and then you go there to try to finish the bounty, the pity arrows sometimes go away. You need to fix both of those things. Give us more character slots. Doesn't hurt to ask. Give us a way to close the cow level. That's a good one, because I open the cow level to get 2 pools, and then I want to close the cow level. Instead, what I do is I make a new game. And then I use my cow levels there. Again, more stress on the servers. If you let me close the cow level, then I'll just get my pools on my own. Don't allow the exact same roll at the Mystic. This will help if you're rolling like, I don't know, 10% crit on an amulet and it goes like 8 to 10 or whatever. It won't help if you're rolling like, I don't know, life per second, where life per second goes from 6,000 to 8,000 or to 9,000. You're never going to get the exact same roll. But it's kind of weird to re-roll something and you're rolling off 14% whirlwind damage, and one of the choices is 14% whirlwind damage. I don't think the exact same roll should be allowed. Make an armory stash that holds all of our saved items. It would be very nice if we could have that separate. Show XP per hour and numeric timers on cooldowns. That would be nice. We'll add it to the UI post. Give an option to auto-skip the boss dialogue and cutscenes. I'm so sick of seeing Belial's RP and Diablo's and Malthael's. Just let me skip it. Just let me kill him, please. It's been too long. Show us the display the timer on Greater Rifts at all times. Tell us how much time we have left, like 5 minutes, 4:59, 4:58. Instead, we just see a little bar and we're guessing. Sometimes it really matters. When you're clicking a power pylon at the end of a clear and you're not sure if you're going to get the clear, you want to click it essentially with 1 minute left so you get the power pylon when you have the most stricken stacks. If you can't see the timer, which you can't, you have to mouse over the little moving dial thing, mouse over it, and only then it will tell you the time. But moving your mouse over there is usually a damage loss for a second or two. So just show us the timer by default. Make clans meaningful. This would be really nice. Clans have absolutely no purpose in the game. There's no achievements to unlock. You don't get any bonuses for playing with your clanmates. There's no perks. Nothing. They just do nothing. It would be cool if they meant something. Give rewards for clearing GRs higher than 70. 70 is a joke. You can clear a 70 with like any set for any class with almost no gear. It was cool to clear GR 70 5 years ago. Nowadays, everybody can do it. What about rewards for clearing higher than GR 70? About clearing 80, 90, 100, maybe even higher. It'd be nice to see some rewards for those players. Allow console to trade on season within their party like PC. I didn't even know that I didn't even know that you guys didn't have that. A lot of people said that. So they should be allowed to trade if PC is allowed to trade, right? I don't know why that's not a thing. Trigger a party invite when entering the Rainbow Goblin level. You can only get the wings if you're actually present in the Rainbow level when Lillian is killed, and everybody wants them, so it's nice to trigger a party invite to port everybody in there. Put an icon on the gear that you have saved to an armory profile. That way you know that this is an important piece of gear to not salvage it. And if you saw my video a couple days ago about Arathon, Arathon killed my hardcore support barb, and that barb was practically immortal. But corrupted angels have bugged crits. I forgot about this. It's every corrupted angel, not just Arathon. So Blizzard needs to take a look at corrupted angels and their ability to crit. It's bugged and it hits way too hard. Okay, on to wish list. Ancient Primal Bovine should spawn a super cow level. That would be fun. They can't be too strong though, because if you go to a Crusader and you upgrade polearms with Recipe 3, it's a 1 in 3 chance for a cow stick, and then it would be a 1 in 30 chance in total for an ancient cow stick. So can't make it too strong, otherwise people are just going to craft ancient bovines all day long and spawn a super cow level. And it would be really nice if it spawned 10 XP pools instead of 2, assuming that they don't fix the XP pool thing that we already listed above. It'd be really nice to have new goblins that could drop GR keys, bounty mats, Ramalodni's gifts, petrified screams, and angelic crucibles. That would be sick. Let us start a new GR immediately. I think this is such a good idea from Dennis. When a rift is cleared, instead open 2 portals. One goes to town, and one just opens the next rift at the same level. That would teach people that finally that town is lava. That is a godly idea. I love that idea. I would love to see that implemented. Don't make us identify items we've already identified. I thought this was really cool. I hadn't really thought of this, but you keep getting the same items over and over and over. It's like when it drops, I don't know about you, but I know it's an Ingeon. I've seen it 1,000 times. It'd be nice if after you've identified it once in the season, it just drops identified, it just drops and it says Ingeon on the ground. God, that would be nice. And finally would be to add a loot filter. So many items in D3 are worthless. I would love to filter out some of the worthless legendaries so I never see them again. And here's 2 contested ideas. The first would be to remove the fog of war in rifts and greater rifts. That means the part of the map that you haven't discovered, just you zone in and the whole thing is discovered. This is the main like cheat thing in T-HUD. And I'm sure a lot of people would like it. We'd put it into the contested category. I think a lot of people think that fog and the discovery is like an integral part of the Diablo franchise. And that makes sense. And some people wouldn't want it removed. The problem is a lot of people use T-HUD to reveal the whole map. And the people who don't are at a disadvantage. So this kind of levels the playing field. I don't think Blizzard's ever going to ban for T-HUD, even though they've condemned it. Maybe they'd be nice enough to implement their features into the game, a lot of them from T-HUD, which are quality of life things. But this is probably the contested thing because this is the main like cheat from T-HUD. If it just shows you the entire map, it shows you where everything is, it's a big advantage. And finally, adding offline mode and mod support. This was asked 5 million times. You will not get this. They're not going to do this. I put it here so we can ask. Some people really absolutely do not want this, mainly because it would add a ton of cheating to Diablo 3. And some people argue, no, you could implement it in a way that it wouldn't add a bunch of cheating. Fine. If they could implement this stuff without it coming with all the cheating, that would be fantastic. So we'll put it here. Don't think we're ever going to get this. And I don't think they could. I think if they did do it, it would just open up a bunch of cheating, even if they put a ton of measures into it to make sure that it wouldn't. But we put it there. If we get it, fantastic. It's in the document. Yeah. So that is going to wrap it up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to merge your guys's, 46 ideas into these categories. And I'm going to ship it off to Blizzard. Remember, one of our things, and I will ask them, and anything that I ask for is never guaranteed. I'm just ask them nicely. I would love to see a blog post where they talk about some of these things. I would like to hear their future plans, like a public-facing document about what are they going to do with the game? What is the future of D3? Does it have a future? I guess if it doesn't, they probably wouldn't announce it. They're not going to make a blog that says, sorry guys, D3 is dead, Keck W. I don't think we're going to get that. But it would be very nice if they could have a response here. And yeah, this was a much bigger project than I expected it to be. It took a lot longer to make this than I thought it was going to. I need to stop saying stupid things like I will read every single comment on these on a bunch of different mediums. I'm never going to do anything like this again. I hope. But this is my document for D3. Yes, it's very late in D3's career. Yes, D4 is coming, blah, 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 blah. Is there a possibility that Blizzard does nothing with this document? Sure. Am I just a loser and stupid for even doing it? Maybe. You want to know what? Now that it's done, now that we're shipping it out, I don't feel bad for doing it. I hope that it brings some good things to the game. I hope for anybody who has been along for the journey of creating this document that you felt like your ideas were considered and included. And I hope that you feel at least somewhat proud of this document, because I think if we got some of these things, I do think it would make the game a hell of a lot better. And I guess we'll see what happens. Nothing else to say. Thanks to all the content creators. Thanks to everybody on all these different platforms for giving your input. Thanks to CJ for making Riker, if you did not know, CJ Riker. Thanks for making a video covering it that brought some attention to it. And let's see what happens. This is my final gift to Diablo 3. Big document for Blizzard, along with all the other people that helped me, to try to make the game better. Thanks for watching.